Hey, just be honest. Are you totally confused in IB right now? A lot of us are just overwhelmed with this program. Especially at times like this, our studying habits are messed up. School life is all over the place. Our teachers, super hard to contact. And really, like half of us don't know what we're doing. That's scary because our IB grades decides which university we go to. And which university we go affects our life. And honestly, at a time like this, everybody's kind of confused. Our friends, our teachers, they have their own problems, and it's not really that easy to get a hold of them. This is a bad situation for everyone, for students around the world, but especially tough for us because we're IB students, and IB is not just another high school program. That's why I've brought on Alex Zouev. He's come on my channel today to talk about 5 ways you can be a better IB student. First of all, who is Alex? Why even listen to him? Well, he graduated the IB with 43 points. And he went on to study at the University of Oxford. Not only that, but he has written 9. I'm not kidding. 9 guidebooks about the IB. He's tutored over 300 students and pursuing a PhD in philosophy at Birkbeck College in London. Last year, Alex published a new book called The Secret Art of Passing the IB Diploma: Why 1 out of 4 students fail, plus how to avoid being one of them. Today, he's going to tell you his top 5 tips from that book and how to navigate IB, especially in these uncertain times. Now, do me a favor. Stay till the end of the video. His advice is really useful. And you know what? You just don't know what you may hear that may make the difference in your life as an IB student. I can guarantee you'll take away something useful. Sometimes it's just that one tip that you hear that may boost your IB grade. So don't miss out. All right, Alex, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Hi, Cole. Thanks for having me on your YouTube channel. So the first top tip I would say is to aim for full marks on your internal assessment. So yeah, this sounds easier said than done, and it might seem like obvious advice to you, but I feel like a lot of students don't realize that your internal assessment, it can count anywhere between 20 to 30% of the grade for each subject, right? And you have 6 subjects, so we're talking about nearly like 15 marks that you can secure before you even walk into the exam room, right? Which is really invaluable, I feel. Moreover, like, you're not really constrained by time with these internal assessments, right? Like, you can basically make it as perfect as possible, right? You can work day and night and just to get full marks. You have the grading criterion, you can see exemplars already of work that has scored 7s. It's not really like when you walk into the exam room, maybe you have a question you don't like, maybe you didn't study that well the night before. With the IAs, like, you basically have 2 years to keep polishing this piece of work. And I feel like students sometimes prioritize things the wrong way. So like if they'll get assigned regular homework, then they'll have to study for a test, and the teacher will say, and your IA is due in a couple of weeks. So in their minds, they treat each thing as equally important, whereas really what you should be doing is working on your IAs, right? Because that's going to get that counts for something. Okay, if you fail a test, you fail an internal test, or if you don't do the homework, you don't know. But your IAs, like, you really need to make them as perfect as possible, right? Now, at the time of recording this, we still don't really know what's going to happen with May 21. But my advice to you would be this. Like, whether exams go ahead or not, what I think is going to happen is I think they're going to give schools a choice. So if you are in an area where coronavirus is still an issue, then they're going to tell them, okay, we're going to use, we can use internal assessment grades. And some schools will end up doing exams, I feel. But anyways, like, what you should do if you are an M21 candidate is to either way, go for full marks on your internal assessment, right? Because if exams do happen, okay, so what? It still counts, right? It still counts as 30%. And if exams don't happen, right, then you're basically giving in like your best work when you're going to be assessed on that. So I think, if last year when the M20 candidates didn't sit, like imagine you were the type of person who maximized your marks on all the IA, right? Like I heard stories of people getting 45 because they put in so much work on their internal assessment. So definitely put as much time, not just as much time as possible, all your spare time. Especially now, if you're home, you don't have to go to school, you're not wasting time doing other stuff. Really work on these internal assessments, because it looks like they're going to be even more important this year than previous years. Okay, so the second piece of advice I would say is to build smarter IB relationships, both with your teachers and with your peers. So what do I mean by that? Basically, this is advice that you should kind of take on for life. You need to understand how to extract, the maximum that you can from your relationship with your teachers. If you show from the start, right, when you're beginning IB, that you're in there to get the best results, that you care, that you're courteous, right? All of these things, that they go a long way. I'm not saying you should become like a teacher's pet or anything. But, if they can see that you're being serious, and if you hand stuff in on time, and if, you email with politeness and courteousness, that kind of stuff will go a long way in terms of like how lenient they are, right? With things like how many drafts of an internal assessment you can hand in. Also, you need to realize, like, at the end of the day, they are kind of responsible for your success in the IB, not just because they're teaching you material, but because, they will do things like grade predictions, right? So if you're applying to UK universities, that's a huge thing, right? Like, if you have a bad relationship with a teacher and they predict you, a really low mark because they think you're an idiot or something, even though that's not what you're going to get, then you're kind of screwed, right? Because they're going to send off that prediction, and you're not going to get into your dream course. So I know it's hard when you're a teenager to kind of, act like an adult in these relationships, because they are adults, but you need to try your best. And if there is some tension or something, then at least work it out. It's harder now with everyone at home, right? So everything's done over emails. But even then, like, you can still be very, if you keep emailing and saying, like, excuse me, teacher, like, I really want to get full marks on this, or I really don't understand this. Can you please set some time aside for me? If you show them that they care, that you care, I think that will go a long way. Also, your IB coordinator, like, that's a very, very important relationship to foster. I know not all schools have experienced IB coordinators, but here again, you can help them out as well, right? Like, if your IB coordinator is really crap, which I'm sorry, sometimes happens, right? Like, there's always, first-time IB coordinators. Then you can help them out, right? You could be like, look, maybe let's do it this way, maybe let's do it that way. So definitely get on the good side of your teachers, especially for things like personal, like a letter of recommendation, right? You will need to end up asking a teacher to write that. If they don't like you, that's going to be a very poorly written letter, right? Okay, so the third tip I have is maybe the most important of the list. Learn how to use the internet, which I know sounds silly, but you need to learn how to basically find the best resources for you, online resources. So back when I was doing the IB, back in 2007, we didn't have this abundance of, we didn't have Revision Village, or we didn't have Bio Ninja, and we didn't have, multiple websites hosting past papers for free, right? I think there was like one website which was shut down on and off all the time. So you're at a massive advantage in the sense that you have all these resources available to you. The question is, do you know how to find them, right? It was shocking how many students that I tutored are just so clueless as to how to find past papers. Just like the thought of Googling for PDFs is a bit foreign to them. So I talk about this stuff in the book, and I go on to list some other important resources. Then another massive resource that I really feel like every single IB student should know about is the Reddit, IBO subreddit, right? So first you need to kind of learn how to use Reddit, which I'm not going to get into, but just learn the basic. You can even Google how to use Reddit. And then, you can find this IB community, and it's wonderful. Like, it's probably the most helpful community there is online. You can ask a question and, someone will respond to you the way the system works. They have great moderators, so there's no spam. So yeah, definitely check out Reddit IBO. Then there's also a Discord channel, an unofficial IB Discord channel, for those of you who are used to using Discord. Those of you who use Facebook, there's a Facebook group called IB Students Worldwide, which is very helpful if you want like a quick answer to something you can ask. There's also WhatsApp groups popping up every now and then, but I wouldn't really recommend that because I don't know if you've ever tried being in a WhatsApp group with like 200 people. It's not very productive. And it's also like there have been some issues with these WhatsApp groups because they're not very well moderated. So when there are exams, there's people looking for, to gain the time zone difference, and some people have gone in trouble. So be very careful joining WhatsApp groups with strangers. I will say this though, like, whereas in my time, there was not enough resources, maybe now there are actually too many, right? So like, you also need to learn how to decide for yourself, like, what are the most valuable resources, right? So I see people like alumni selling their handwritten notes, for example. I always find that a bit weird because, like, why would you pay for someone else's notes? Like, the whole point of notes is that you take them yourself. So I don't think buying notes is as useful as, I don't know, watching free YouTube videos. Like your channel is absolutely amazing, and I guarantee you, like, a tiny fraction of IB students know about it because no one's ever thought of going on YouTube and typing IB advice tips, right? So, and then boom, your channel would be the number one result. They just don't. They think that their teachers will give them the best resources, but they won't. You actually got to do the Googling yourself. And I talk about some best practices in the book. Right, so my fourth tip is learn how to use past papers, right? So I talked about the internal assessments earlier, right? If that's worth like 25% of your final mark, your ability to do past papers will determine like another 50% of how successful you will be in the IB. Past papers, like, you need to understand that there's a set amount of material, right, that's in the syllabus. So there's only so many different ways that they can ask a question, right? Like, it's no secret that questions kind of keep repeating themselves, right? And if you learn the way that they're being asked, and the only way you can do this is by doing past papers. So like, sometimes people ask me, okay, well, how many should I do? I honestly think the more the better. Like, unless there was a change in the syllabus, then do every single past paper that you can. And what do I mean by when I say do them? So, right, you have like 10 years worth of past papers, May and November. We're talking about 20 examination sessions, like 2 or 3 papers for each thing, right? So that's a lot. Obviously, you can't do ideally, you would want to do all of them under exam conditions, like, a few months before you have exams. Obviously, that's not going to be the case because you have other stuff to do. Some of you are still finishing learning the syllabus. But I feel like even if you are sitting there, past paper on one hand and mark scheme in the other, and kind of just going through it, seeing, this is where you gain marks. So this is how they wanted you to answer. Like, if you keep doing that for decade worth of past papers, I think you will be so much more, I feel like that form of revision is so much more valuable than going through the syllabus. Which is still not bad, or going through a textbook, right? You can do that, but you need to learn how to answer the questions because that's what's going to happen. So yeah, do as many past papers as possible. And you do need to learn how to do them under exam conditions. So I suggest like 2 or 3 weeks before your actual exams, assuming you have exams, to replicate, exam conditions. So quiet room, no distractions, no past paper, time yourself. Timing is super crucial too, which a lot of students find out the hard way. This is why mock exams are really important. But that's only just one instance, right? You can make your own mock exams. You need to learn how to be fast at answering questions. So yeah, past papers are basically, a lifesaver for you as IB students. And again, it's one of those things that students know that it's important, but I feel like it's underappreciated just how important, right? So now there's the question of like, okay, well, if the syllabus changes, right? Or like now you have these new math subjects. It still doesn't mean that previous math papers are useless, right? You could still use previous past papers, but you just gotta, if something did drop out of the syllabus, you should keep that in mind. So yeah. Okay, so my final piece of advice would be to say that, don't treat the 3 bonus points, so they're called, the extended essay and the TOK, don't treat them as bonuses because, do you know how many students miss out on their diploma because of 1 or 2 marks? Like these, less than 10% get all 3 marks. It's quite, is it difficult? You need to get an A and a B, right? Or B and an A. It's not impossible, right? Especially if you treat your extended essay and your TOK essay presentation as kind of, a form of IA, which it is, right? It's 3 marks that are up for grabs, doing something that, you can absolutely, students have this weird way of making too big of a deal of the extended essay without really making a big enough deal of it. 4,000 words really isn't that much, right? If you have 2 years to write a 4,000 word essay, that's a lot of time for not that many words. But it needs to be good, right? So again, look at exemplar. First of all, choose the right subject. That's first and foremost. And to help with that, you can actually go check out the statistical bulletin. Actually, maybe this should be a separate tip of its own. But every year the IB puts out this what they call a statistical bulletin. And you can see statistics for the previous exam sessions. So you can see how many students failed, which subjects got the most 7s, what the most popular extended essay topics were, which is history every year. How many, got, if you chose an extended essay, if you do high level math and you choose an extended essay in math, as I did, then you will see that it has the highest percentage of 7s. But yeah, so definitely check out these stats. And don't treat these bonus things as bonuses because they're really not. It's something that should be part, you're graded out of 45 and these 3 are part of that 45. So again, it's easier, said than done. Oh, do well in your TOK essay. What does that actually mean? It's hard, I know. But this is where you need to take the time to actually learn. Oh, what does a good TOK essay look like? How do I score full marks on the extended essay? And then you have the grading criterion. And I talk about all this stuff in the book.
Alex, that was phenomenal advice. I really like the part of doing as many past papers as you can. That was my secret weapon. And I'm telling you, it's no coincidence that the 2 subjects I got a 7 in were the subjects I did past papers in the most. So if you want to learn more about Alex's tips, you can check out his book. And if you want to know more about him, I'll put some more info about him in the description. All right, take care, guys. Hope you really enjoyed the video. Comment down below if you like videos like this. I can bring on more experienced IB students next time as well. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at iblikecole. All right, take care.